I do a fair bit of speaking with teams in the corporate world, talking about leadership and how to be a good boss. And I'm amused that the most common question I get asked at the end of the session is this: how do we deal with a bad boss? Hello and welcome to another edition of Chai with Pai, our weekly series of videos where I try and share simple lessons and stories which can help all of us become just a little bit better. A recent survey in corporate America found that 56% of employees complained that they had a bad boss. If you are one of those people who also feel that you have a bad boss, you're in good company. So I thought I'd share with you today 6 strategies to manage a bad boss. What can we do to try and get this right and make sure that we can manage what might be a not so good boss? The first thing to remember is this: think of it as a challenge. Why should it be that you must always have a great boss? It's a bit like a cricketer who might want a wicket which is easy to bat on, and when he gets a wicket which is green and fast, a batsman might complain, oh, this is not fair. Think of it as challenging you. Think of a bad boss as an opportunity to learn and to get better. I remember speaking with Harith Nagpal, who's the CEO of Tata Sky, and Harith was telling me how in his career he's probably had about 15 bosses. And he says 2 of those 15 bosses were good bosses, the 13 others were not so good bosses. But guess what? Harith says he learned something from all 15 of them. From 2 of them, he learned how to be a good leader, and from the other 13, he learned what he should not do as a leader. So, whichever way you look at it, the truth is a bad boss can be a good learning experience. Lesson number 2, communicate. Talk to the boss, talk to her, talk to him, and try and understand what is motivating or what's driving the boss's performance, what's driving the boss's behavior. Don't try and give feedback, don't try and tell them how to do their jobs, but flip it and ask them, what would they like you to do in order to be more effective? What is it they wish you would do so that you could contribute to their goals, to the larger team goals? So communicate not just with the boss, also perhaps communicate with the support system, with the rest of the team, just to make sure that everyone knows that you're trying to get this right. Staying with communication, point number 3, remember, don't badmouth your boss. Don't disrespect your boss. If you find it tempting to speak about how tough it is and what a bad boss he is when you're with your friends and colleagues, resist that temptation, because when you do that, it shows you up in poor light. And not just that, word usually travels. And it's not going to help your case too much if the person you think is a bad boss actually hears that you think not too highly of him or her. The 4th thing to remember is that it's not forever. Okay? Bosses will change. You should just stick it out and try and say, hey, this is just one more of those challenges in life, and I'm going to stick it out, and sooner or later either I will move, or better still, the boss will move. And when that happens, you will discover that a new boss comes along, and remember, there are no guarantees in life. And the new boss might actually be the kind of person who makes you feel, wow, my previous boss was actually not so bad. The 5th thing to remember would be to ensure that your performance does not get affected by the bad boss. Don't slacken. Don't let your standards drop. What can happen to some of us is that when we have a bad boss, we start to feel demotivated and we start to not give it our 100% and we start to say, it's okay, what can I do? I can't do much. After all, I have such a terrible boss. Don't let that happen. Your performance is your responsibility. Don't blame it on a boss. You try and do whatever it takes to make sure you are getting it right. And my last bit of advice for you would be this. Just try and make sure that even as you think of the bad boss you have, remember, I hope you are not a bad boss to other people. We are all very quick to complain about our bosses and feel that, oh my goodness, I'm so unlucky I have a bad boss. We forget that for many of the people who might be working with us, we might just be that bad boss. So the best thing you can do to ensure you don't have a bad boss is to start by ensuring you are not that bad boss. Try it, and I'm hoping that these 6 simple steps will help you to tide over what might be a temporary phase where you have a boss who you don't hit it off with, who you don't think too highly about, but hey, it's not the end of the world. That's all in this week's Chai with Pai. Until next time, enjoy your chai.